Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Unearthed with your host, Katya Nalivata. Today is part 2 of my conversation with Tamanda. And if y'all have not watched part 1, then do go and watch it. It is up there somewhere in the cards. And when you're done, come right back here. Don't forget to subscribe, comment, like. Get on in part 2. Let's go. It's like we have this affinity to fight and to remain and to stay in toxic romantic relationships, or to fight for love but not fight for friendships. Why is that, Tamanda? Well, the other thing that I wanted to touch on there is just the fight that has to go into having friendships, especially with our generation, especially with the mobility, the transient, not even transience, transcends. What did you say there? You say they're miseducated. What did
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you said it right though.
With that is the fighting for friendships. The verse you mentioned, I'm actually gonna read partly what the verse was. But Miss Ma'am over here didn't just speak, she took out scripture. Proverbs 18:24. The man of too many friends will be broken in pieces and come to ruin, but there is a true loving friend who sticks closer than a brother. So that you touched on the acquaintances thing. So having to pick and choose who your friends are, and defining and establishing who those friends are and who those people are. But then on top of that, the covenant part of it. So if it's a covenant, if it's intentional, if it's not casual, you're going to have to fight for it. Thing I see is it's like we have this affinity to fight and to remain and to stay in toxic romantic relationships, or to fight for love but not fight for friendships. Why is that, Tamanda? Why do
No.
you do that? Why do I do
If
that?
I
Why am I like
if I
that?
was to guess in terms of just try and figure that out. Maybe you know how when we come into this world, right? We come individually. Friendship is sort of the first, well, outside of our family, the first interaction we have, right? I think in a way it kind of goes back to that taking it for granted because we have it. There are people everywhere. We're bound to make a friend somewhere, you know what I mean? Because everybody
Yeah.
exists. But romantic relationships are like partners are hard to find. So this one is mine, kind of. You know what I mean? Like that's usually I think at the process of that because even if we look at our like we made friends through sports, we made friends in class, we make friends at work. Friends just seem like it's not that hard. They're there.
Yeah.
I don't have to do much. They will always be there. But, when people, are intentionally trying to go into a relationship, it's like, well, this person is not great. Is they're okay. There's this, there's that. It's sort of it takes more effort to figure out who you want to be with because
Hmm.
then that means they're with me for life. So I think because the energy is also in that direction of like, well, this is someone who's going to be in my space. So the attention has to be really there because if you get somebody who's not the best, you're gonna be the one suffering, right? So maybe
Yeah.
that's where that comes from. And also maybe media, we've been
Hmm.
told fairy tales of like happily ever after and she found him and she was happy and whatever. So like even
Yeah.
that plays a role in like how we perceive that. Because I think it's only recently that they're making stories about friends, like more friendship focused and like it's okay to not be with anyone but your friends are all you need type of narratives. We've been conditioned.
I think that's being conditioned. The Matrix does. I think that's interesting because even a romantic relationship is supposed to be built off of a friendship. And not just that, but as you talked about movies, in the movie it's always the couple. But in real life, the couple does not exist outside, like without a community. You need a community. You're married in a church with a community if you are Christian. But even if you're not, there are people that come to your wedding. There are people that speak into your life
Witness.
in one way or another. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
they witness your marriage, they witness your union. And outside of that, as much as your partner is your like till death do us part, you cannot find everything in one person. Jesus, yes, but as human beings, you cannot find everything in one person. Like, for example, as a guy, you're gonna need guy friends because there's just a certain level of understanding that a guy will have with you, and as a girl, it's vice versa. Like,
Yeah.
as much as you love that man, he won't really understand what a period is and the
Mm.
emotions and hormones that come with that, or what
Yeah.
it means to carry a child in your womb, or what it means to be submitted to a man. Like, those are things they will just never fully live through or understand. So it's crazy that, and yes, it probably is because we've been conditioned that we don't hold our friendships and communities to the same high standard as we do friendships. And when I was going through my breakup, I think one thing God constantly kept telling me was, we are called to be in a church and to go to church. And it's because you're going to fight with people, you're going to be rubbed the wrong way. But there is a pruning and there is a level of character building that happens when you're within community and within friends that can't be done just by one person. So
Mm.
even when you are entering a romantic relationship, when you're coming from solid friendships and solid communities, one, you have a witness of counsels around you to be like, girl, that's not for you. Immediately, no. Two,
Yeah.
I think there's also just a level of, you learn what it's like to love sacrificially. You learn what it means to be loved, which is something that I see I'm struggling with because I haven't really grown up in that kind of community outside of my family. That's just like, no, you love me just because, not because we're blood, but just because. So now
Mm-hmm.
that even if I do meet someone who genuinely just loves me like that, um, or even in my past relationship, how do I receive it? I can't because like, how do you receive it? So Hollywood guys, please stop lying. It really isn't like that.
It's not all movies. I want to preface, it's not all movies.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's just really crazy. Because
Mm.
why was I fighting? And okay, even when I talk about my own toxic relationship, I'm not saying that the person was toxic. They could have been, but I was also toxic. Like the relationship in itself was toxic. But I think when you are now surrounded by healthy relationships outside of that, you're able to quickly see that now that there's something wrong here and I don't need this in my life, or I can step away and still be okay. Because when you guys are arguing, you're gonna go to that friend. When you guys are happy, you're gonna go to that. So I don't know. Like, I get what you're saying, but at the same time, it's just why? Why do we do that?
Yeah. Oh. I think maybe we were made to love and be loved, right? So we could also look at it like that, you know, that made to love and be loved sometimes because of what we've seen, especially when you leave your family, you go this way, you move to a new place, you start your whole life. The assumption is when you're starting, it's from scratch. So as in you get rid of everything you've ever known and it's you and this person and you're starting like your life. And
Yeah.
it's like, no, it's actually that person is coming into your life that already existed because you were whole already by yourself. You're now just
Yeah.
joining your lives into one, like one being the roof over your head in whatever place you're staying. But I think it comes from maybe understanding what that means in life, like your life, because I also think just, this about me, I overthink. So I think the constant questions that hit my head are what cause certain thoughts to kind of go in that way, right? But I think if I didn't have friends, to tell me, yo, you're running away. Where are you going? That's a little too far. You know what I mean? So if I didn't have that, I think I would have gone crazy because there is that coming back to yourself that, like you said, like friends do for you. There is the reminding you who you are because we can be independent, we can do all these things by ourselves. No one's saying you can't be independent. All we're saying is you need anchors sometimes,
Yeah.
because you can be independent on still waters, but when it's a little shaky, just a little shaky, you need some anchors, like just a little bit. Because I think the other thing of just knowing that obviously there are these different dimensions to being a person, right? Spiritually, emotionally, mentally, psycho, whatever, right? So we just have to find a balance in that. And that's maybe the battle of what we deal with in life. And it becomes very complicated when you're going through something, right? Maybe yours is a physical thing, mine is a mental thing. It becomes very hard for us to hear each other because I'm like, well, me in my head, I don't know. And you physically, I'm just, it becomes really hard because there's a lot of noise around us to even go and be like, wait a minute, like, is this even true? Like, or am I just spiraling?
Mm.
Because it feels a lot because I'm alone. But it feels alone because you're not looking out of what you're going through, right? So,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
And it's interesting how the Bible depicts God literally says that he knit David and Jonathan's soul together, and that was a friendship, wasn't a romantic thing. And every time we're talking about friendships or a relationship, it's always David and Jonathan.
Mhm.
So it does speak to the importance of friendships. Jesus wasn't married. He wasn't in a romantic. He had friends. So as much as we are in like an era of, oh, I don't need nobody, I'm good. You do need somebody, please.
Yeah,
You
you
need
do.
you might not
You
need a
do.
man or you might not need a but you need we need people, we need friends. We need to fight for friendships. Um and it's not that we need to fight for toxic friendships, but I think my point was the same energy that at least I put in fighting for this, I should be able to fight in the friendships that are purposefully given to me by God. And I think that also leads me into the next section, which is how do you know when to fight for a friendship and when to let go? Because I know you don't like the seasonal friendship things, but
Oh.
but there are some people, acquaintances, as you mentioned, that do come into your life for a season. And it's not that there's any bad blood. I think it's
Mhm.
those kind of friendships or people who, if you meet, you're gonna be like, "Hey, how's life?" And then you do have that friend that's there every day through every season. So when do you know when it is time to genuinely be like, "Okay, um, goodbye. This is not it's either this is toxic or
Mhm.
this is also just like it has reached its end. Like we're going to very separate. I mean, I'm for you, I love you, but it yeah.
But
When
it's
do you know
not.
when to let go and when to fight?
I don't think I ever really truly know, if I'm being completely honest. Because
Yeah.
I'm still I think the beginning of every close to fall out of a friendship, I will always try and mend it or know what is causing the drift, right? So if maybe it's because, oh, you keep checking up on me too much, it's overwhelming, then I'll be like, okay, then I'll I'll stop a little bit there. Or like, like if you let me know what it is, then I know, okay, to back away. But then if the other person is not responding or like not letting me know as much as I want to know, I really have to swallow my ego of like, I want to fix it because you're important to me. To be like, okay, maybe I'm not required for them. Like it's kind of painful realization sometimes because as much as you want to be a forever friend for somebody, you are that seasonal friend, and it's a hard stick to swallow. it's a hard reality to pick up sometimes
You
because
are
you're
the
like, well,
acquaintance.
you are the acquaintance. Because sometimes you gotta know you are the acquaintance, and you just gotta be like, well, they were cool, whatever. They were a good friend. Mm, okay, yeah, fine. But then it's also just like knowing that whatever you did at that moment was enough for that person. And sometimes they do come back. You never know. You spend some
Mhm.
time not speaking to someone, not like connecting with someone. But I think that in itself is like a little foundation. It's a foundation of what you guys become eventually if you were to become best friends in the future because life is so complex and complicated, right? So I always try to look at it positively, no matter how much it hurts, because that's all I can do. I cannot force a person to stay. Like in the moment, I'm not going to be speaking the way I'm speaking now. It hurts. I'll be like, what? Wait, why? What are you doing? But I think when I get out of it, I'm like, wait, I could be the acquaintance. It's okay. It doesn't mean that you're a bad friend. It doesn't mean you suck. It doesn't mean you will never make friends, even though that's what it feels like. But that's a lie, that's a lie your self-esteem constantly tells you because for whatever reason you feel like the reason the person is leaving has to do with you. Okay, sometimes it does because maybe you weren't being the nicest or whatever it is, but that's beside the point. But what I mean is you have a role to play in people's lives. You could be the one who teaches them a lesson. You could be the one who holds their hand forever. You could be that little example that they have to be like, oh yeah, this is what that looks like. So yeah, I think just looking at things outside of myself, actively being like, okay,
Mhm.
I know this is about me right now, but outside of this, like feeling what I'm feeling, when I get out of it, then I go, okay, I felt what I felt. It was great, great. Was angry, was upset, blah, blah, blah. Then coming to, but what was the point of all of that? Like, if I was to pick
Yeah.
a lesson, what was the point? Because there has to be a point, because things don't happen just because they happen. There's a reason everything happens. So just telling yourself, what was the point?
And for me, I think just looking at some of the friendships that I had to let go of, I think one thing I would say is in that season for this, I
Mhm.
was not in the best place mentally, and neither was the other person. So I think sometimes it's okay to look back and to be like, okay, why did certain relationships end? And maybe the truth is they did have to because they were, again, when we talk about toxic relationships, sometimes it's not necessarily that the person was or you were, it's just the mix of you two in the space of life that you were in made it toxic, and realizing that it's okay, we're growing and we're learning. So
Mhm.
sometimes that's I think that's when you know that it's okay to let go of that friendship. And sometimes letting go is just for a season. You could rekindle it later on. So what I advise is, especially if it's not abusive or like with a horrible person, but it's just more so, I don't know, you're just both not in the best space, is whenever you're ready to go back and to apologize where you did do wrong, and to kind of just hash it out and leave it at a neutral ground, which is like, you know what, things happen, we've had arguments, we've had fights, it didn't work out, but I still respect you, and like, and just leave it at that. Because
Yeah.
um yeah, I do think that it is hard because there is that level of, as you said, like, I'm not going to marry you. And so sometimes yeah, it is hard to fight because we haven't said any vows. There's no covenant here like that. So, but then just leaving it at a neutral ground where it's just respectful on both ends is helpful,
Yeah.
because later on, you never know, it could be rekindled. And then I want to go into betrayal. betrayal and also having horrible friends. Because especially on TikTok, my best friend Tamanda, she's always just talking about like, ish, I hope you don't become I hope one day you don't spill all of my business on TikTok because you're mad at me. And that's something that I've seen quite a lot, where they're just these horrible friendship stories. And I don't know how to necessarily save people from that, because the only thing you could ever do as a person is become a better person and become a better friend.
Right.
And being a better friend also will in turn speak to your relation, like your romantic relationships, because those should always be based off of friendship, right? So yeah, how do you navigate forgiveness in friendships, or coming from really hurtful friendships that were just, and now you have to
Mm.
enter a new one, and or you have to forgive someone after something bad has happened. Like, how do you fight for friendship in that sense?
Oh. When it is a bad friendship, I think I would say it's hard to. Okay, if it's a friendship that was already bad to begin with, it's hard to navigate it from a place of love and kindness when you are hurt so often. Because now it's like, I'm fed up with you, and I'm going to say this hurtful word so you can know that you hurt me and I'll hurt you, right? But you have to be active in not wanting to intentionally hurt the other person when you are getting yourself out of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, we're people, we have anger, we have all of these sour emotions, and it's not always gonna be, I can control this, because we can't. It's like, I feel it and I'm gonna let you know now. So maybe it would come from you doing the work on yourself, so that that gentleness, or like that place of kindness, comes naturally. Because we can say, be kind, be kind, be kind, but if you don't know how that is actively practiced in your life, you can't do it. You can say, be kind, and then when an argument comes, you're like, hey, you, like you just start. So I think it has to come with that uh, foundation. My dad is always talking about having principles. Maybe that could be the foundation, because there are certain things that, I when I'm having a hard time, I'm always like, Dad, I don't know what to do here. I don't know. And he's always like, look back at your principles, you know, because you have them for a reason. Like, if you have principles, that's gonna help you navigate life. If you're just going around, like, oh, maybe we'll figure it out when it gets there, then that you're kind of ill-equipped to deal with that, because now you're not letting, I'll go back, foundation help you. You're just going in guns blazing of like, this is me now, and I'm gonna try and diffuse
Yeah.
this from a place where I'm not even able to diffuse myself, so it's like every small thing that will happen will trigger things. So maybe starting there, that would be, because I'm also working on that. It's not always easy, because sometimes you have a principle that you think it's a principle, but it's actually just something you want to have, or like something that you believe is like, oh yeah, that would be nice, but it's not something that's really rooted in how you can bring yourself back to that place of love. It's not easy.
And
I'm
then
saying
how does your
I'm saying this
how
like
does
it's being for
your it's hard, guys. It's hard out here. How would you say that friendship has to be modeled like Jesus? And I say that because Jesus was friends with a betrayer. He knew that this guy was about to betray him,
Hmm.
and he still loved him.
Yeah,
How would
even
you
washed his
navigate
feet.
that? How would you do?
Even washed his feet.
Watch his speech.
No, but
Broke bread
seriously.
together.
No, but
Huh.
seriously, sometimes I'm like, whoa. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
it becomes,
Wait, but notice how he wasn't in his inner circle.
mm,
He was his friend, but he wasn't in his inner circle.
mm-hmm. Yeah, meaning kindness does not have to end with the people you know. It has to keep
Yeah.
going out. But to answer your question, yeah, I don't know. Um,
Mm.
I think it's a, I don't know because
Hard.
it's hard. I mean, we always have these examples, right? And it's, I think one of the things that makes it really difficult is like also we're in a different time. That was a different time. So some of the things might not
Yeah.
translate the way we think that they translate. But I think if we look at the lesson, which is like loyalty, honesty, kindness, support, there's
Mm.
this, we kind of have to die to ourselves, like our ego of like me. I deserve this, like you do, but sometimes it's not about you. And I think that's one of the
Yeah.
hardest things because the world doesn't make it about you already. So you kind of feel like you have to keep fighting to have this value of this is me, please respect me. This is who I am. I'm navigating this space. Please respect, right? But with that, we kind of have this I'm going to protect me in whatever means necessary. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I think there comes a time where that also has to come a little under so that somebody else can experience that, you know? Because
Yeah.
often I remember I had this conversation with my dad when I was younger where I was like, there's so many people, like there's so many people. And I was like, yeah, if there was a need for it to just be two people, the rest of us would have been trees, you know? But there's a reason
Yeah.
there's people, meaning it's not always about me. Somebody else is going to have to experience a good thing, and I'll just have to maybe be in the sidelines or whatever it is. And in that, um, they're having a good time. It shouldn't be they're having a good time. What about me? It should be like, oh, good for them. But it's hard to be in that space
Yeah.
of good for them because you want that thing, because you also lack.
Mm.
And so it's difficult because we need things too. But it's but it's like, well, I don't know. How do I navigate that? That's I think one of the things that I'm trying to also actively be aware of, right? So if people are having good times, I always think, okay, people who are having great moments in their lives, I try my best to just make it between us so that I'm not put in a spot of like, I'll always have to be loud for you. Because it might come off inauthentic because now I feel pressured to be a version of myself for someone, and then I'll end up resenting myself and you in the process instead of celebrating you properly, right? So I think it's also
Yeah.
knowing yourself so you can love others.
I'd also like to add that, especially when it comes to the contentment part, the same Jesus spent a lot of time with God.
Hmm.
So it becomes easier when your cup is already being filled by the one person who will love you and be a friend to you better than anyone ever will. It's still hard. You'll still feel the betrayal, the pain, but when that cup is filled, even in a world that isn't about you, God makes it about you. He's very personal. So sometimes that does help in how you show up in friendships too. And I know a lot of people could be looking for good friends. And I know that's something that I have also been looking for. Yes, I already have them, but looking for a community, especially being here in the UK, and all of the things that come with that. And it's truly when God says, seek the kingdom, He already knows we need. And on top of that, as I mentioned Jonathan and David before, He's the one that knit their souls. It wasn't them who did that. He did that for them. So I guess on the less, it's practical, but more on the belief and faith side is knowing that you have a father who will give you good gifts, and having friends and community that's genuinely there and deep and authentic and grounded is a gift from God that will be given to you and will be added unto you. Because there are some people that just have grace for you in your brokenness, in your most toxic state, There are people that will have that grace for you, and other people just won't. And it's not that they're bad people or they're not patient. They just don't have the grace for you. So sometimes I think it is okay to be aware of that. And when that blessing of a friendship does come, to stop. Because I think we also do that comparison thing in friendships where you might find a really good friend or a really good person, but because I don't know, they don't like being on social media and doing TikToks, and you guys are not traveling because you're both broke, then you're like, oh, this friendship sucks. you know
Yeah.
but it's like that doesn't matter. Some of these,
Yeah.
genuinely, some of these things that we see on social media, it doesn't matter. That's just like the 0.00001% of what a real friendship is, because when you're in the depths of your despair, you're not going to be looking for a TikTok or you know what I mean. Yeah, I don't know where that was going. I don't know, like, also, I guess managing people's expectations in this time and age where we are seeing friendship look in a certain aesthetic, like that isn't real life.
Yeah.
It just isn't. You and your friends might be on the farm, guys. You won't be in robes in a spa. You will be Tamanda. Like,
You big Munda. And it's fine. And it's fine. Because again, like what you're saying,
yeah.
it's fine. Yeah, because like it's not a transaction. You're in it because of the friendship. What matters is that
Yeah.
this is the friendship that you guys both chose to be in. So it has to come back to that knowing of this is what we have, and that's enough. Like we don't have to, like, if other things come, like forever to go on a trip, or like we're able to go, I don't know, swimming or whatever it is, like that just comes as add-ons. Like it's just something that enhances
Yeah.
what we already have. But yeah, it has to be focused on the relationship, because as much as good like things are out there of like, oh yeah, it's flashy, it's nice, but it's not necessary. We just get it because just
Yeah.
cause, but it's not the most important thing. Yeah.
Yeah, because for example, like, you shout out to Ankita. Hi, Ankita. You, Ankita, and I, like, we, for the most part, did nothing. Like,
That's so
we did
true.
nothing.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't flashy or all of those things, but it was very necessary. I just really wouldn't have done the Masters without you guys. Like, ooh.
No, seriously. Because
But for
if
the most
we,
part, we just
I
ate.
always
We
think about
ate.
that. A lot of food.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of food. The money went to food.
Yeah,
That's all
most
we did.
definitely.
In pajamas.
In pajamas.
Showered at 2 a.m. Watched movies.
Yeah. That was
And
pretty
that's
much
it. Cried
Yeah.
a whole lot.
Those tears were
And that's the fact,
necessary.
yeah, like, friendships are boring too. They're just they're not always. And it's like what we were talking about in my last episode with Chim, about how I think there is just this need for there to always be drama in friendships, and there to be like this big thing where like your heart is always pumping. But it's like, healthy things are genuinely boring
No, they are.
for the most.
They are.
You will recycle stories and things a lot,
Yeah.
and that's okay. It's okay. So like, as a generation, we really need to stop searching for the next big thing, the next trend, or the next that and that, and just learn to be okay in the boringness, because that's health.
Yeah.
Just be fine being health.
Yeah. Because also that comes because those are businesses, you know?
Yeah.
Those
Tell
are
us,
businesses
Miss
that
Ma'am, who was in the.
meant to sell to us. So,
Yeah.
that's all it is.
So lastly, now that you're in this pivotal time in your life, you're in your 20s, you have no idea what life looks like or what you're doing. What friendships are actually worth fighting for and building at this time in your life? Like, new friendships now.
New friendships. I think people who have the same interests as me, I think is something that's
Mhm.
going to be really important because I have a creative background and I would love to have that community, but also
Creatives,
just so
creatives,
creative.
basically calling.
No, but just
Yeah,
because I think if those are the things that you like and that you value, you have to tend to them. And if, for example, I paint one day and I say it sucks, and I think it sucks, but that's because I'm insecure. That community of people can remind me that the process is this. It's not about the final product or whatever, right? So just maybe people who can remind me that the life that I'm walking into isn't always going to be the perfect thing that I'm trying to make it out to be, so that I can give myself more grace, so I can give other people more grace.
yeah.
Otherwise, I'm going to be really rigid. Oh,
Okay. Creatives, Tamanda needs friends. She needs community, please. That seemed
yeah.
deep-seated.
Deep seated. No, I
Okay.
just mean, I just mean like, okay, in terms of like networking, you know how people are telling you network all the time. I don't network. I like to have people who I'm not just gonna talk to you just because of this one event. I can't do that. I don't
It
like
feels
small talk.
transactional.
Hey, I
Yeah,
can't do
because it feels
that. Exactly. I cannot do that. It feels inauthentic for me to be like, so you and what, I want to be able to
yeah.
talk to you more than what you do, because you are more than what you do. So I would like to get to know
Mm,
that person so that when I'm talking to you, I'm not just like, oh yeah, we're gonna talk about Kadia's podcast and that's all we do. Like that's not, I'm gonna feel empty, and that maybe that's where also that emptiness of like I don't have friends comes from, because we're putting these like rigid walls of like you're my business friend,
yeah.
stay there. So maybe closing those gaps a little bit more so that I can have proper friendships and conversations in that industry space.
And do you have anything to tell the unearthed audience community? By the way, guys, this is also the manager. Heike Loki, our manager.
High key, low key. I think one of the things that I can say, if you guys ever do feel like commenting and feel like maybe Katia wouldn't respond, she will. So when she does say like, comment, subscribe, especially the comment, she's not joking. Like really, truly comment, she will engage with you. And if you feel like you have maybe a conversation, a topic you'd like to talk to her about, do reach out because I'm pretty sure this gal is going to do the most and engage with you. She's relentless.
Probably
That's what
ask
I'm
you to
trying
come
to say.
on.
No, I know.
Probably
She's
ask you to come
relentless.
on
She
join
will
her competition.
she will follow up. Okay? So yeah, if you're ready for that, please by all means comment below and she will get on it.
Yeah, even if you guys want to talk about friendships, I love talking about relationships. I think there's so much we can talk about every day, all the time. All
Every
right.
day.
Oh, this was great. We love it. Thank you for your wisdom. Thank you
Thank you for
for,
having me.
yeah, thank you for finally like coming after I forced you, I dragged you here.
Again, relentless.
Right, guys, please comment the love in the comment section or like it, just show her love.
Yeah.
Receive your flowers. Receive your flowers. And yeah, I hope you guys do better in your friendships, get better friends. I will be praying for y'all so that the Lord may knit you to some people. Please, come on, be knitted. Be together. To death do us part. Hallelujah.
If you've made it this far, thank you so much. Don't forget to subscribe and comment what was your favorite part of the conversation. What did you agree with? Did you disagree with anything? And do you have any tips on how to cultivate healthy friendships? So, as always, please do not forget to like, subscribe. Let's reach 100 subscribers and we might do a little sum. You know what I mean? And as always, I will see you guys next week. I am sending love and light.